In this video, you'll learn how to create the perfect button component in Figma. By the end, you'll be able to change the button type with just a few clicks. We'll adjust the size, explore how to integrate different states, and learn how to add new text directly into our component. To do this, we'll build a complete button system that incorporates all the styles. At the end of the video, you'll have access to a Figma file that you can easily use for your own designs. So, let's get started. To ensure you can follow every step, we'll start with a completely new file. The first step is to click on the text tool in the bottom toolbar, click on your workspace, and type some text. For example, button. Now, we'll apply auto layout to this text by pressing the Shift key along with A. You'll see that a frame appears around our text. We can now style this frame. We can adjust the padding on the left and right, setting it to 16, and define the top and bottom padding as 8. Next, we can set the corner radius. In our example, we'll choose 8. Below that, we can add a background by clicking Add Fill. A white background is added by default. Click on the color field to change the color. For our example, let's create a red button. Once we've done that, we can close the window. Now, we can adjust the text. Select the text, and on the right side, you can choose from various font options. I recommend Inter, which is a very popular font for user interface designs. Then, adjust the size to 16. In the same panel, you can set the line height to 24. Right above that, you can adjust the font weight. In our example, we'll choose semi-bold. And just like that, we've created our first button. Now, let's copy this button. Select the frame, press Command+C and Command+V, and another button will appear next to it. This button will have a different state. When we click on our first button, its state should change from default to pressed. To achieve this, click on the Fill tool on the right and darken the color slightly. Close the window, and now we have two buttons. A normal button, and a button that changes when clicked. Next, we want to add different sizes. Click on our first button again, copy it, and move it down slightly. We can now style this button as well. Adjust the side padding from 16 to 8, and the top and bottom padding to 4. Then, reduce the corner radius to 4 as well. We can also make the text slightly smaller by setting it to 12 and adjusting the line height to 16. Now, we've created a smaller version of our first button. We'll now need to copy this smaller button and define a pressed state for it as well. Use the color picker to select the color from our upper button. Finally, we want to define a second type of button. To do this, copy our first button again, move it down, and scroll down to define a different color. Let's say we want to create a green button. Close the window, copy the button, select the color again, and choose a darker shade. We'll need to repeat this process for our smaller button. Select the small button, copy it, and move it down. Then, apply the colors from the larger buttons. Now, we've created different button types, integrated various states, and created different sizes. Next, we need to select each button and click Create Component in the right panel. Do this for each button. Once done, select all the buttons, and you'll see a button in the top right panel called Combine as Variants. Click on that. Now, we've grouped the individual components into a single component. We can now click on the text and change the name. And just like that, we've created our button system. Next, we need to apply the different effects. I'll copy the button and paste it here. What we have now are just different names, which aren't yet clearly distinguishable. This isn't ideal. So we'll click into our first button component, which will be highlighted on the left side of the screen. Click into the name, select Property, and type Type. The first type will be primary. Then add a comma and define the size. So we'll type size equals large. Finally, we'll define the state as default. Now, on the right side of the screen, the new editing options have been added. We need to assign these styles to each button. Select the large button, which is also primary, with a size of large. The state for this one isn't default, but pressed. So we'll type pressed into the text field. We'll repeat this process for the smaller buttons. This is primary, the size is small, and the state is default. Then, again, primary, size is small, and the state is pressed. We need to do the same for the green buttons. Define the type as secondary, size is large, and state is default. For the next button, we define secondary, large, and pressed. For the small buttons, we define secondary, small, and default. And we'll do the same for the last button. We can see that we still have properties left. These need to be removed from each button. To do this, select the variables in the left panel and delete the properties for each button. It's important to be careful about what exactly we're deleting. Now, we see that we no longer have the property options, only our defined styles. We can now click on the button we copied earlier, and here we can easily switch between the different styles. Finally, we can animate our component. Click on the button, then click Prototype at the top. You'll see a new icon appear on our button. Hold down your cursor and drag a connection between the buttons. Here, we have various interaction options. We want the button to change after we click on it. It should switch to primary, large, and pressed. This should happen instantly, so the settings are correct. We need to set up the same animation to play in reverse. Drag another connection, and the settings should be the same. Repeat this process for all the buttons. Once that's done, go into our prototyping settings, select an iPhone, and change the background color to white. Then, click on Frame in the lower toolbar, select an iPhone, drag our button component into the frame, select the iPhone frame, and click Present in the top right. This allows us to check if everything is working. Click on the button, and you'll see the color change. Clicking again will switch it back. This concludes the tutorial. You've learned how to define various styles and set up a matching system. To revisit our free resource, which you can download for free, we've integrated additional functions. For example, you can use variables to easily select spacing from a list for each side. We've created variables for the corner radius, color tokens that you can easily switch, and integrated text styles that you can also change easily. If you'd like to learn how to integrate these features into your button, we recommend our premium video course. On my website, appcourse.io, you'll find over 150 videos that teach you how to build your own app from scratch. Or you can choose our free video course, where you'll get 10 free videos and other useful resources that make your work easier and faster. Whichever option you choose, I hope you enjoy experimenting and designing.